Plant-based cheese lovers cookbook with 12 cheese recipes and 18 cheese dish recipes. We have, cottage cheese, feta cheese, mild cheddar cheese, cooked Gouda, the two that you're going to see demonstrated today. So lots of great cheeses that maybe you haven't tasted in a while since you've gone vegan or plant-based. And I think you'll be able to enjoy those flavors again. We also have a chapter on using agar, which Donna is going to demonstrate for the mozzarella cheese today. Also a chapter on blenders and other equipment, and an FAQ with a lot of troubleshooting questions answered. So we're hoping this is a very useful guide for you for making some of your cheeses. And right now it's available in the vegan health bundle, which you've seen talked about in today's handout. There's an actual list of all 83 products on page 3, all 83 products that are available in the bundle, including our cookbook. There's video subscriptions, there's guidebooks, workbooks, presentations, lots of different topics besides a lot of wonderful cookbooks, weight loss and blood pressure, sleep, all that kind of stuff. So you can look through there. And if you're interested in getting an even closer look or even consider purchasing, you can use the links or the QR codes here. They're also in the chat today. So that is something that's available through Monday. So another 6 days or so. So wanted to tell you about that. I wanted to make a few other announcements. We're in a Zoom meeting, like a Zoom call. So we're going to ask everybody to stay on mute, just because it's hard to navigate lots and lots of people. Usually, I think Donna and I really like interactive classes with lots of discussion, but it's probably not going to be too possible today. So if you have a question, put it in the chat, and whoever's demonstrating, the other person will look at those questions. And if Donna's demoing, I'll try to work them in so she can answer them, and vice versa. So just put your questions in the chat. If you have any comments or reactions, you can also put those in the chat. That's fine. But if you do put a question in the chat, we will try to get to it. If there are a lot of questions and we don't get to them during the hour, we will answer them in a follow-up email that we'll send to everybody. So just know that your question will be addressed. It will get answered.
Real quick, we had a question already, Linda.
Okay.
Sanjita asked about downloading the recipes. So I just really want to just throw a quick little thought in there. In the last couple of email reminders that I sent out, there was a button to download the recipes, but I will send out another final email tomorrow where that link will be available there as well. I was going to try to put it in the Zoom room under the docs setting, but I had to switch last minute to a different device, and it's not easily done at this point. So you will get the link again if you don't already see it in an email you received. Maybe you didn't have a chance to open up the email. So
yeah, I think it was the email 2 or 3 days ago that you had the download button. So yeah, so what you have in this bundle is all 4 recipes from today's demo plus the other information. Okay, so without further ado, I am going to turn this over to Donna, and she is going to demonstrate some mozzarella cheese making.
Yay, thank you so much, Linda. This was, I think, one of the very first recipes that you and I started developing and working on. And we went through so many different versions. We tried so many different crazy products. And this is the recipe we landed on. And I really love it. It's kind of fun. I know, and if there's not a lot of ingredients in it. So let's just jump right in. We are using something called agar. Now, some folks pronounce it agar, some folks pronounce it agar. Linda and I finally went back and forth and we settled on the pronunciation of agar. So what is it? It is a plant-based gelatin. It is made from red algae. So it's completely vegan. And what it does is it adds a firmness and a texture to the mixture that you're calling cheese, because there's no dairy in it. So it's technically not cheese, but it gives it that firmness and the texture that you expect from a traditional dairy-based cheese. The nice thing about agar, and when you use it, just like you use any gelatin product, agar sets very quickly, and you don't need it'll set at room temperature, so you don't need to chill it down. Although we have found that because we're using cashews in a lot of the cheeses that we've created, putting it in the refrigerator, the cashews will firm the cheese up over a couple of days. But it's not the agar that's actually making it get any firmer. It's the cashews. And then last but not least, I want to make sure I got all my notes here. And it's for this reason, when it sets at room temperature, that it's really an ideal product for a lot of commercial food manufacturers to use. So one quick question, is agar healthy? And it actually is very low in calorie and rich in fiber. And it's a compound that supports your gut. So you can feel really good about using this type of gelatin. Okay. I'm just going to grab a sip of water. We'll get into the next step here. So the fresh mozzarella recipe is made with cashews. You have to soak and drain the cashews first, and then we add some unsweetened plant-based Greek yogurt, and that gives it its tang. We use some water so that we can puree it and make it into a really smooth paste. And then we add potato starch to thicken it up, along with the agar, which is going to firm it up. And last, we put a little bit of salt in it. So there's really not that many ingredients. So just real quick, I'll show you how. I want to mention the cashews. Cashews are one of our main ingredients, and I'm going to try to share it with you on my video here. These are the cashews that have been soaked, so you can see they're much more plump. And these are the cashews that have not been soaked. And when you soak them, they get really soft, and it's a lot easier to blend them and puree them. Unless you have a really super duper high speed, commercial grade blender, you're not going to get that smoothness that we are hoping for. So we soak them for as long as you can soak them for. I like to soak mine overnight. And it just makes it a lot easier to blend. So in here, we're going to throw in, I'm making a half a recipe of this today, but it normally calls for 1 cup of Greek yogurt, and I've got a half a cup, because I'm going to split this recipe. I've got a half a cup of raw cashews. So if you can see that there. I've got a couple tablespoons of water, which would be a 1/4 cup if you were making a full batch. My potato starch, which is 3 tablespoons, cut down to a half, is 1 1/2. And I actually am going to add some tapioca starch. It's not typically in the recipe that we wrote up, but what tapioca starch is going to do for you in your cheeses is it's going to give it that stretch factor, that pulley stretch factor. The downside of that is that Linda and I found that it tastes like tapioca. So if you're not a fan of the tapioca flavor, it might not be something that you want to put into your mozzarella. However, if you're a bigger fan of the stretchiness factor and the tapioca flavor is not that big of a deal to you, fine, use it. I actually don't put a lot in, but I do like the stretch factor, so I throw it in there. And then last but not least, a little bit of salt. And you're going to puree this. You're going to puree all of this. And I actually have a Ninja blender for smoothies that I use. So I tend to cut my cheese recipes in half. And it just, I don't go through it as much because it's just 2 of us here in our home these days. So I just make half batches. And these little smoothie blenders work out just fine. So I'm hoping this isn't going to be too loud. I already have it mostly blended, but I just, for presentation purposes, wanted to share with you just blending it. Is that loud, Linda? Good. Okay, because Zoom normally will bring that volume down. So
hey, Donna, how much tapioca starch did you add?
I added 1 tablespoon.
1 tablespoon for a half recipe. Okay.
Yep. And so you can see how creamy it is. Let me get a spoon here too. It's super, super creamy. The creamier you can get this, the better. Okay. So now here comes the magic. This is the fun part, is using agar. I've been using agar for a really long time, since I found out about it when I first started eating plant-based in 2019. So I have been experimenting with it for a long time, and Linda and I actually learned a ton more about it when we were developing these cheese recipes. So what you want to do, I think, can everyone see that okay?
Yes.
Good. Okay, great. So thank you, Jeff. So in here I have a 1/4 cup of water. Again, I'm halving the recipe, and a 1/2 tablespoon of powdered agar. And agar, it actually does come in a couple different forms. It comes in a powder form, it comes in a gel form. I think Linda and I both found that the powder works better. You have a little bit more control over it and how much you put in. And the more you use, the firmer it's going to be, just like regular gelatin. So I forgot to turn my cooktop on. There we go. So you're gonna wanna bring this up to a boil. So we're gonna give this a stir. We're gonna whisk this around. And while I'm waiting for this to come to a boil so that I can put our cheese mixture in there, I'm going to start my next recipe, which is pizza in a rice cooker. Yes, you heard me right. Pizza in a rice cooker. So I am a pizza fanatic, and it's like my total kryptonite. So one of the things that I always am experimenting. Oh, this is heating up quicker than I thought. One of the things that I like to experiment with is different pizzas. I'm gonna give that a second to go. So what I have here is I made some pizza dough, and I put it on the bottom of my rice cooker. I'm just gonna throw some sauce on the top of that, and when my cheese is finished and made, I'm gonna put the cheese on top of that. I'm gonna put it in my rice cooker, and I'm gonna set the timer. You can see this. There we go. I'm gonna set the timer to 30 seconds on the steam function. And we're gonna let it go. And we're gonna find that it makes a very crunchy bottom with a soft crust, which is just really kind of yummy. And we're gonna make that with our mozzarella cheese. So here we have, it looks like glass, and that's the look I'm going for.
Hey, Donna, 2 things. Can you show a little more the agar as cooked? Just lift that up again slowly and show people the agar.
Great.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
And also, can you use anything besides a rice cooker for this?
Oh yeah, I throw it in the oven.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna add a little bit more water here because I overcooked it a little bit. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more water to get it back to my glossy, so that it doesn't coagulate in when I throw it in. So I just added a little bit of water because it was getting past the point where I wanted it to add the cashew mixture. So I'm just gonna get this to a consistency that I like, again, where it's nicely bubbling. No.
Hey, Donna, can you use an Instant Pot for the pizza?
Sure could, yeah. I would just put it on the steam setting.
Okay.
Okay. It's a little bit closer. Okay, I think that's ready. So I'm going to put in my mixture. Just give this one a quick stir again. Just want to get it so that it's a rolling bubble here. That's good. So I'm going to just dump in all of my, you can see, just dumping that all in there. And then I'm going to give it a good whisk. And this is where I did not go to culinary school, but I hear that one of the main things that you do in culinary school is you learn how to whisk whipped cream. And I hear that chefs' arms tend to fall off during that class because they're whipping it with a whisk. But you can see This is really hard. I wish I had my laptops. So I'm whisking this until it gets to a smooth consistency, and all of the agar has been incorporated into the cashew mixture, and I'm getting there. Hey, hon, would you mind coming over and just holding the camera up over this so that folks can see what I'm doing? Because this is an important step for this. It's one of the, no, a little bit lower. Is that okay, Linda? Can you see that?
Yeah, that looks good.
Okay, so
are you getting it to a boil?
I'm not getting it to a boil, but it is getting very thick, and it's starting to pull away from the sides. I want to get the spatula, the whisk out of here. It's starting to pull away from the sides of the saucepan, and this does go very quickly. And it takes 1 or 2 times to get the hang of it, but it really is fun. So you can see now, perfect. Let's see. So you can see it's starting to pull away from the bottom of the pan. Can you see that?
Here.
So you can see it's kind of forming a little ball, and that's when I know it's done. And I also know it's done because it's falling off of the spatula. Okay. So now it's done, and now we have to shape it, because I happen to like the 1 teaspoon size of ball, and I forgot to get my ice before. So we're just gonna get some cold ice, some water. What I do is form the little balls and drop them in the ice water so that they'll make up these cute little mozzarella balls. And this is actually the most fun part for me, is scooping it up, forming these cute little balls, and then dropping them in the water. And I find that it's a lot easier if you wet the spoon first. Get the spoon
Is there
nice
any
and
chance
cold.
we could
Use metal.
see? Can we see the water too?
Sure.
Okay, good. Does it just drop in?
It does. So here we go.
Okay.
Here's our first one.
Okay, great.
So let me keep doing a couple more, and then I'll show you. And it gets, you can see how you get used to like forming this little ball. Just like anything that you do when you're cooking, the more you do it, oh, that one came out perfect. The more you do it, the better you get at it. So I'm just gonna do up a bunch of these, and then I'll show them to you in a bowl. And so once, oh, these are really coming out very cute. I wish you were like sitting here with me and you could see how fun these are. So you can see, again, I'm just kind of like making these little balls, dropping them in the water, and it comes right off. Oh, there we go. So let me put some into a container for you. And they look just like little tiny fresh mozzarella balls.
And there had been a question about can you use plant-based yogurt? And I told people, well, yeah, that's what we used.
Absolutely, yep. It's all plant-based, definitely plant-based yogurt. And I try to get a yogurt that doesn't taste, it's not coconut forward, because I really am not a fan of coconut, especially in my mozzarella. So yeah, so that's a definite thing to keep in mind. And I think Linda has a recipe. I know she has a recipe on her site for yogurt. And
yes.
So, and Linda, what do you make that? What kind of milk do you use?
So I use soy milk for it. Yeah.
Okay.
I have tried a cashew yogurt. It just takes a lot of cashews.
Does it? Yeah.
So I like the soy yogurt.
So I'm just finishing up the rest of these little mozzarella balls, shaping them, and then I'm going to go ahead and start our pizza. I'm gonna just put the sauce on the crust and layer the mozzarella balls on that and set it to steam. And One other last thing that I forgot to mention, Linda, was that on the pizza, I also use our Parmesan cheese. So that recipe was not included in the book. I can add that very quickly before I resend out everything tomorrow. But the Parmesan cashew recipe is in our bundle. And it's basically 1 cup of cashews, a 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast, 2 teaspoons of miso, and a 1/4 teaspoon of granular garlic powder, granulars, whichever you use. And again, Linda and I tried a lot of different versions of that, and this is where we landed, and we thought it really just came out very nicely, and it was very, very close to what you would think of as traditional. The miso really is a magic ingredient. So, so what I'm going to do then is just finish up these balls. I'm going to turn the floor over to Linda, and I'm going to get our pizza going.
Okay, thank you. I think there was one other. What brand of vegan Greek yogurt are you using, and where do you buy it?
So I use Kalina. I use the Kalina brand. It is made here in Austin. I've been using this brand. It's really the only brand that I buy. It's a little on the pricey side, and I don't know how far she's distributing right now. But what I like about it is that it is made with coconut. It is, it has I actually have written to them. They have their own proprietary biotic in it. So they're doing more things with their biotic, with their microorganisms in this yogurt than other companies are doing. And it's very, very, very thick. It's very thick. And that's why I love it, because it's so thick that you think you're eating traditional Greek yogurt. So Kalina, if you can find it.
Yeah, I found it at one store. I think I found it at Natural Grocers in Portland. So they're getting nationwide distribution.
And it's funny, here in Austin, I can find it at Central Market, but I can't find it at Whole Foods or the HEBs. And Central Market is their cornerstone store.
Yeah.
For HEB, and HEB doesn't carry it, but Central Market does, and I live walking distance to that market.
Nice.
So
nice. Great
question. Okay. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to see this miraculous rice cooker pizza in
a
few minutes, but I'm going to demonstrate nacho cheese sauce, which, you know, maybe some of you have already made. You know, I've tried a number of, this is the best recipe for cheese sauce ever. And sometimes I was like, yeah, not the best. So we have one that we both tested a lot. We both liked. And then we turned it into what we call a cowgirl queso dip. So I'm going to show them both of those because one depends on the other. The nice thing about this is it's low fat and low calories. There aren't any nuts in it. It gets its thickness from potatoes and its color and some of its heft from carrots. And then a number of spices that I'll walk you through and you have in the handout. But I think all told, it makes a really tasty, good queso dip that doesn't like draw attention to itself in the wrong way. It goes really well on tacos, burritos, nachos. You can use it instead of cheddar cheese on a lot of in a lot of dishes that go for, you know, the Mexican vibe. And then you can use it on vegetables, grains, bowls. So it's super versatile. And this one doesn't use agar. It's pretty straightforward. What you do have to do is cook some potatoes and carrots and onions, which of course I've already done, so that you don't have to watch me cook these for 15 minutes. So essentially a couple cups of potatoes. I like russets best. I think they make the best texture, but Donna has had luck also with Yukon and red skin potatoes. So those all work, and you just dice them up and then boil them with just as much, just a little extra water over them. And then it takes, you know, less than 15 minutes to get them tender, fork tender, we say in the recipe. So what I'm gonna do is drain these and capture the liquid because I might need some extra liquid to get the texture to be just right. So I'm gonna grab a container and drain these. If you are making the cheese sauce right after you boil them, we recommend waiting about at least 10 minutes. You probably all know blender safety. If you're going to put something super hot in your blender, you want to put a folded towel over the top. So if you do get steam that kind of pushes the top off, you're not going to burn yourself. So then once you cook these, which is sort of the hard part, the rest is pretty easy. So we're going to put all these drained in the blender, our carrots and our onions and our potatoes. And then we're going to add all the other ingredients. So the first is nutritional yeast. I'm sure all of you know this is a deactivated yeast and nothing rises. It doesn't rise like bread yeast. That has a cheesy flavor. So it's used in a lot of cheese recipes. It just happens to have a flavor that's a lot like cheese. And then we're going to use miso again. Just like in the Parmesan cheese, it has that fermented umami flavor that adds a lot more flavor than just plain salt. It has salt, but Dr. Greger and other nutritionists have cited studies that show the effect of the sodium of the salt is not as much on your blood pressure and other issues in the body because it's accompanied by these fermented soybeans that have nutrients that sort of counterbalance that issue, the sodium issues. And then a teaspoon of lemon juice or apple cider vinegar. So we're going to get a little bit of that tang. We have to sort of build those cheese flavors from scratch because we don't have the dairy milk. So we're building the flavor from scratch. And
We
then,
had a question about the yogurt.
Yeah.
Could you use the Kate Hill or Kite Hill yogurt? And yeah, that would be my next choice. That is an amazing product and it does not taste like coconut and it's thicker than some of the other brands that I've used. So definitely that would be my second choice.
Yeah. Okay. Then I'm going to add onion powder, onion granules, a teaspoon of that, and then a teaspoon of any kind of hot sauce you like. I'm going to use sriracha, just a scant teaspoon for me. I'm not a huge spice person. And then half teaspoon garlic powder, or garlic granules. Half a teaspoon dry mustard. Quarter teaspoon turmeric. That helps with color. You'll find that most of our orange cheeses use turmeric. So just a quarter teaspoon goes a long way. And
It's
then,
so healthy for you.
yeah, that's right.
Anytime you can get that in a recipe.
Yeah, a quarter teaspoon smoked paprika, which is great in almost anything. And then some, you could use white pepper or, as here, black pepper. And then I am going to add, let's see, I think it's going to need a little bit of water to get started. This Vitamix is powerful, but sometimes it doesn't like to start very well. So we'll see. I have the plunger as well. If it misbehaves on me, I'm assuming that Zoom will mute, or Donna, you can mute me if it's really loud.
Yeah, I think Zoom will mute it.
Okay. Okay. Here we go.
Yeah, I don't hear a thing. Yeah, can't hear it, Linda.
Okay. I hope you can hear me. I hit blast off, my blender behaved, and so my nacho cheese sauce is basically done. So
It's amazing. That looks great.
for a lot of things, you might want to heat it, which we're gonna do for the next recipe, but this is simple. You know, the only thing that really takes time is the is that boiling. So I'm gonna taste it just to see if my seasonings are working. Yeah, that's good. It's gonna kind of settle down a little bit, but it's good. All right. So now I'm gonna turn to the next page, which is the cowgirl queso dip, which is great for parties, for dinner, actually. As you'll see, I'm going to add lots of nutritious ingredients, and it's something that you can see from the picture. It's going to have beans and all sorts of good stuff in it. I'll talk about what you can use with it. So I'm going to check my lighting because I had to block the sun coming in from an upper window, so I want to make sure this is.
And while you're doing that, Linda, do you suggest brown miso?
So I used the red miso with this because it could, it can take some tang. I think if I had to buy and use only one miso, it would be yellow miso, because it's not as sweet as white miso. I find sometimes I use white miso and I can actually taste the sweetness of it, which I don't really like in savory dishes. So there are just a few things like the mascarpone cheese and others where I really like the white miso, but usually I use yellow miso. So in this
And
yellow,
did you use water from the vegetables? Was that?
I did use a little bit. So the cowgirl queso dip, you've got the queso. I'm going to start heating it on medium low. And then I'm going to add some corn. This is just add and heat. So, if you prepped and made the queso earlier, this is ready to make for a dinner. Then a can of beans. I drained and rinsed these low sodium black beans before the show. And then some Rotel, a 10-ounce can of Rotel tomatoes. I get the mild green chilies, but if you are a daredevil, depending on how thick your cheese is, you can drain I'm going to drain a little bit of the water off camera here from the Rotel. You don't have to, especially if your cheese seems nice and thick. And then, so if you really don't want any extra green chilies, you can just buy plain diced tomatoes. And then one of my favorite ingredients, cilantro, again, optional if you are one of those people who does not like it. And then you can add all sorts of extras, up to you. I'm going to add some red onion and some California olives and some green and red bell peppers, well chopped. So you can see I turned 2.5 cups of the queso into probably 3 or 4 cups of this dip. And then really all we're doing is heating, and we're gonna thicken it a bit as it cooks. So we recommend cooking it for 5 to 10 minutes, which I don't need to do on camera, but you can see how easy this is. And what's nice too is it makes the leftovers is super simple. You just, put any leftovers in the fridge and it will taste basically the same the next time you use it. It doesn't freeze, but it's super, super durable in the refrigerator. And I have used this on baked potatoes, on grains in a bowl with some like leftover rice and cooked broccoli. Just put a bunch of this on it. Of course, again, you could use it in a burrito or some other handheld. You could even put it in pita. Pita have kind of a cross-cultural handheld there, but it works with so many things. And because it has the beans, you're getting protein, and a lot of these things bring fiber to the party as well, including the potato. So you get a lot of good stuff in a fairly simple to make dish.
There's a question about questioning that it doesn't, they're surprised that it doesn't dry out with the heating because it looks really creamy.
Yeah, it doesn't dry out. No, I have not had it dry out. It doesn't set up because there's no agar, and the potatoes don't really set up in here. It is creamy. You don't want to overdo the water or using that poaching water. You just want enough to get it. When you blend it, like I blended it, you don't want to add too much water, just enough to get it to catch so it blends until it's super smooth. But no, it doesn't dry out for sure. In fact, this is a little too, maybe the water from the tomatoes makes it a little tiny bit thin for my taste. So that's the beauty of it. I'm just going to sort of cook it away and cook away some of that water till it's the texture I like. All right. If there aren't any more questions, then I will turn it back to you, Donna.
Sure. Well, we're still waiting for our pizza to cook. It's only been going for about 15 minutes. Let me give it a quick check. And it's getting there. Yeah, it's getting there. So when it comes out, one thing about the plant-based mozzarella is that it doesn't brown unless you put it under a broiler or it gives some kind of flame to the top of it. So what I swear, all best intentions. I have a kitchen torch that I it was working 20 minutes ago and now it's not working.
Oh no.
I know, it's been hysterical today. So I could put it under my broiler, which I have my broiler set right now, but I also have just like this little flame. So I might just give it a couple of the mozzarella pieces on the top, just a little bit of a flame, just to brown them up to make them look prettier. So that's kind of what I do on that piece, because what's happening is the dough is getting steamed, so it's puffing up, and the dough is a nice pillowy dough. And then the bottom gets nice and crunchy because I haven't put any oil or any cooking spray on the bottom of the rice cooker or Instapot. So when you pull it out, the bottom's nice and golden brown because it's like it's what's sitting on a stone. And then the top is nice and billowy and soft. That's how I like my pizza. If you want to use the rice steamer setting, it'll be a little crunchier.
So in an Instant Pot, what would you set it on in the bottom?
I think steam. I think I would still use steam for the
No, but I
Instant
mean,
Pot.
what would you lower it in with, a trivet? Or
No, I just put it on the bottom.
I wanted to mention that on my website, I have a recipe for using leftover wheat tortillas. You can crisp them up in your oven. I mean, I can tell you the recipe, which is 375 for like 8 to 10 minutes or more until they get crispy. So I cut them up into the triangles first and put those on in a single layer on a baking tray. I used 2 baking trays this time to make this many. I think it was like 5 tortillas, 8-inch tortillas that I cut into 8 triangles each. And they, if you want, you can spray a little bit of water on them and put spices on them. And then they crisp up really nice. And there's so much, there's a tiny bit of fat in commercial whole wheat tortillas, but not nearly as much as fried corn chips. So I like these with my queso dip.
Yum.
Yeah. But then you could also, if you were having a party, like a Super Bowl party, you could, make some small potatoes, hollow them out, bake them, and then hollow them out with a cookie scoop if you wanted to bake them again. And then you could put some of this queso dip in there or use those, or you could make little waffle potatoes as well, and then put some of this queso dip on top. So that could be dinner. If you wanted to do, potato waffles, you just microwave the potatoes till they're soft and then smash them in the waffle iron. So there's a lot of ways you can use this queso dip.
There was a question on my pizza dough that I'm using. This is a whole wheat pizza dough. I used 1 cup of whole wheat flour to a 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. I have made them gluten-free before. I just use the 1-to-1 baking flour. I'm a pizza purist, so if I'm going to indulge, I'm going to eat the whole wheat crust as opposed to the gluten-free. But if you have gluten-free issues, this definitely will work with a gluten-free crust. And I tried to do as much scratch cooking as I can. And I get a lot of enjoyment out of it, so it doesn't bother me. But I know there's a lot of folks out there that want to eat healthy, and cooking isn't their most favorite thing to do. And they even consider it a chore, which is such a foreign concept to me, because my feet hit the floor in the morning and I'm trying to figure out, what am I making today? So I'm living an amazing retirement that I wanted to just cook all day long when I retired, and that's kind of what I do. My husband's laughing at me over here. So, but I'm just waiting for my broiler to heat up so you can see the difference that it makes. And then I'll show you this pizza. It's so much fun.
How many minutes under the broiler does it take?
I'm thinking 1 to 2. My hand doesn't burn. Just for demonstration purposes. I don't want to keep everybody waiting to watch that, but it didn't brown as quickly as I wanted it to. But I love, again, to my kryptonite pizza addiction.
Can you show us the pizza more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right there it is. Oh,
there
nice.
it is.
There,
so I like it just this, traditionally margarita pizza has slices of tomatoes. I just like it cheese and basil. And then you can see the undercrust got nice and brown and golden, and you can't tell, but it is very crunchy and firm. So when I slice into this, it'll be really, really yummy and soft, billowy crust. I like to roll my crust thin. Sometimes I roll it thick and it takes a little bit longer, but it really just depends on how you like your pizza. And the nice thing about doing this is that you can have your pizza, you can have your mozzarella, you can have your sauce, and you don't have to kill the calories, and you don't have to feel bad the next day.
Yeah. Karen says it looks yummy.
Good. Thank you. Yeah, I can't wait. This is my dinner. I told my husband, I don't know what you're having for dinner tonight, but I'm making myself a personal pan pizza. And that's the other fun thing about this, is that you can have a personal pan pizza party and everybody can make their own. The one problem, though, is that it does take 25 to 30 minutes in the steamer. But if you're just doing it for a couple of people, you can pop them in the oven, keep them warm until everyone's done. Or you can have a rice cooker pizza party. Have everyone bring their rice cookers and their Instant Pot.
Yep. And here is the cowgirl queso dip.
Amazing.
And yep. So I cooked it longer on, it was just a few more minutes on the stove, and now you can see it sticks to the to the tortilla crisp.
Oh, yum.
Super hot, but super delish.
That
Yeah.
looks amazing.
Yeah. So we have time for more Q&A. If people have any more questions or want to ask about some of the other cheeses or something, anything about agar or
We also have in our book, we have a section on pantry items at the back. Or no, it's at the front. On pantry items that you would typically use when you're setting about on your cheese making journey. There's a lot of funky things out there. We did a lot of research, and there's a lot of conflicting information about what products are actually being used and are safe to use. And, you know, we landed very early on using products that were proven, tested through lots of other types of recipes, not just cheeses. And the agar, potato starch, cornstarch, tapioca starch, those are the products that really have stood the test of time through the years and have never had anything written up about them. So we just tried to just stay really, really firm down that line when we were developing these recipes to make sure, and those products are now accessible to everyone. It used to be, what the heck, where do I get agar? Where is that? I guess I have to order it from some obscure website and wait 6 weeks to get it. And Linda and I did buy a lot of probiotics. And some of our other recipes use a probiotic to get that tanginess in your cheese. And we tried many different versions of those vegan products. So I hope you really enjoy these recipes. And
so we have a couple more questions, Donna. One is, how do you get the pizza out of the Instant Pot?
I have a really thin spatula that's narrow. And so I kind of just scoop it up on the side. I tilted it to the side. I kind of tilted it to the side and with the spatula underneath of it and just pulled it out onto the dish, onto the cutting board.
Okay.
Good question.
And then the other question, have you ever tried the 2-ingredient dough for the pizza? 1 cup flour, 1 cup tofu, or Greek yogurt?
I have not, but that sounds really interesting.
And then, do you have a vegan blue cheese recipe in the book? I so miss blue cheese.
You want to tell that story?
Yeah. So, well, we tried. We have tried, and I too miss, I miss, there was a Greek salad at a Greek diner in Princeton, New Jersey. I used to get the Greek salad all the time. And then I went vegan and I said, I'll never eat a great Greek salad again. But luckily, we created a feta recipe that is kind of to die for in terms of plant-based feta. So we developed an oil-free Greek dressing. So we do have a Greek salad recipe in the book, as well as the feta cheese recipe. And then I remember this great blue cheese salad, blue cheese, walnuts, and a vinaigrette, which is still elusive. But we went down the rabbit hole. We tried some easy blue cheese. I forget what the blue part was, Donna, but
Spirulina?
Oh, spirulina. Yeah,
Spirulina.
spirulina. It was not good. And then we found this this supplier that actually did have, the blue cheese, the actual blue cheese bacterium culture. We both got it. Donna actually made some. And one day I got a text and it said, I have mold, which is a good thing.
Yes.
Making blue cheese. And it took like a couple weeks for the mold to come on, right? Because then the mold just kind of refolded a bit and the mold then turns into those veins. And if you use the right culture, obviously it's the good kind of mold. But then, Donna, I think you went on a long vacation, right?
I did. And I came back and the mold had overtaken the cheese.
I
I remember to bring my sourdough starter to my son's house for him to babysit it, but I forgot about the blue cheese in my refrigerator. So no one was watching it for me. So it just went bad. But I do have a blue cheese recipe that Linda and I played with a lot. And then I ended up making it from just myself. We decided not to put it in the book because it was just way too complicated. And we thought that people wouldn't be up for the challenge. It's a very, very challenging cheese to make.
Yeah.
But the recipe that we did land on that we were going to put in the book was still difficult.
Yeah.
And we were just like, not
It just seemed like most people would just say, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. And
So we may keep working on it and seeing if we can simplify it. Someone can't find the handout. If you go to your email inbox from a couple days ago, you'll see a PLANTifull Fare email and you'll see a button in that email for downloading it. Otherwise, you can email Donna or me and we will send it to you.
Yep.
We're getting some thank yous. I don't see, somebody says, is it too late to demonstrate the stretch of the mozzarella? Or did it cool off?
It cooled off. But you know what? I can, let's see if I can do this. So it's kind of gooey. It's pulling apart. I probably should have cooked it a little bit more for it to be gooier. So when I have dinner in about a half an hour, I'm going to probably throw this under the broiler and it'll get a lot gooier. But that tapioca starch is the only way that you're going to get that stretch. Again, our experience in testing these recipes over and over in multiple versions. Do we add the tapioca? Do we not? Do we want it stretchy? Do we not want it stretchy? This is, for me personally, I wanted the stretchiness. Linda was like, nope, I don't like the tapioca flavor. So yeah, that's where we landed.
And Susan asked, does it taste like mozzarella?
It does. It has the texture. And I'm not going to say it's exactly the same, but if you miss cheese and you miss mozzarella as much as I do, this really has brought it back into my life. And especially in a salad, I don't know if I would just go in and eat them raw like I used to when I just ate out of the deli containers when I lived in Rochester, New York. And we'd go to the deli and get 3 pounds of ricotta and 2 pounds of fresh mozzarella. You know, it's not going to be that, but it's pretty darn close.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining, and please feel free to contact Donna or me if you have any other questions, and please check out the bundle. And I don't know, Donna, do you have any other closing announcements?
I actually have just a mention. I'm also in the bundle under a solo project that I call PLANTifull Fare with Italian Flair, Volume 2. I was in Chef AJ's bundle last year for my first year, and I didn't label it Volume 1, but it was Volume 1. And when I decided to participate again this year, it's just natural for me to cook Italian food. So I came up with a Volume 2 for that. And I also contributed 2 recipes to the group collective cookbook on sweet potatoes. So I have a sweet potato crisp, which actually is really good. I surprised myself on that one. A sweet potato crisp that you don't even think, I never even thought about it. And mini sweet potato muffin tops. So it's like a soft cookie, but the top gets really, really crunchy and the bottom is soft like the bottom of a muffin. So I just dubbed it mini muffin top sweet potato. I think I have applesauce in it. So I'm in that product as well. So I'm in there 3 times. So
nice.
A lot of fun. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you. And really appreciate everybody coming, everybody registering, showing your interest. And please see if you can put cheese, a little healthy plant-based cheese back into your life. I think you'll be happy about it. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks for joining.